Hey, this is Nathan with Analog Reviews, and today we're having a look at Starcraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. Heart of the Swarm is the latest expansion to Starcraft 2, and it adds a whole new campaign along with new units and features to the multiplayer. The campaign takes place shortly after Wings of Liberty left off, and has you playing as a now restored Kerrigan who embarks on a quest to unite the scattered Zerg colonies. Heart of the Swarm has been improved over Wings of Liberty's enjoyable campaign, featuring RPG elements, interesting dialogue, and the option to evolve the Zerg however you see fit. The 27 missions are much more varied this time around, as they aren't all about building a base or macroing. They feature a persistent hero and interesting locales, my favorite of which is a mission that has you infiltrating a Protoss ship and slowly infesting it as a larva.
What was that noise?
The majority of the narrative is told throughout the missions and cutscenes. However, there are additional dialogue options in between missions that further aid the story. The campaign has a host of new achievements and portraits to unlock, but chances are you won't be replaying it too many times, as a game like its predecessors is based around the competitive multiplayer. Even though the campaign is about 10 hours long, it still feels like it's over too quickly, as the ending is a bit of a cliffhanger, leaving it open for the next expansion, Legacy of the Void. The three races in the game, Protoss, Terran, and Zerg, have all received a few new units. Although it may not sound like much, each of these new units plays a very unique role and vastly changes the way the game is played. With that said, veteran players will most likely have to spend some time relearning the game. Aside from the new units, there are plenty of balance changes as well, which once again completely change the metagame. Each of the factions caters to a different playing style. There's Zerg, which is all about managing your resources efficiently, expanding, and maintaining constant map control. Your units, on the other hand, are the most expendable out of the three races, relying heavily on macro opposed to micro. The new additions in the expansion are the Swarm Host, which allows Zerg players to contain their opponents with constant pressure, and the Viper, which excels at eliminating larger units. The overall balance changes to Zerg improve units like the Mutalisk and Ultralisk, giving Zerg players more viable options. Protoss, on the other hand, is all about microing, requiring the least macro and base management out of the three races. Their units are the least expendable and excel at overwhelming their opponents at key timings throughout the game. The new additions to Protoss are the Oracle, Mothership Core, and the Tempest. The Mothership Core is an early game hero-style unit that is great for harassing as well as base defense. This unit makes it a lot more difficult for Protoss players to be rushed. You may also upgrade the Mothership Core into a full-fledged Mothership late game. The Oracle is a fast-moving flying unit that is great for harassing and also provides an alternate method for detecting invisible units. The Tempest is a long-range heavy flying unit that attacks both ground and air targets, while Terran is a balance between the two, requiring equal parts micro and macro. Terran is often regarded as the most annoying race to play against, as they excel at harassing other players and damaging their economies. Heart of the Swarm only acts to cement this role, as the addition of Widow Mines and Hellbats boosts the Terran players' offensive and defensive capabilities. Widow Mines are an extremely cost-effective unit that can attack both ground and air. They can be used defensively, and they can also be devastating when placed in an opponent's base. Hellbats are a new form of the Hellion unit. They feature increased resilience and damage at the expense of speed. The most notable of balance changes for Terran is the speed boost ability that was added to the medevac, allowing for Terran players to harass easier than ever. However, these are just generalizations aimed towards newer players, as playing any of the three races on the high end requires a considerable amount of both micro and macro. Starcraft is a game without a skill gap, where the sky is a limit in terms of multitasking and outsmarting your opponents. The music is phenomenal, which is what we've all come to expect from a Blizzard title, featuring remastered orchestral tracks from the first Starcraft, as well as a host of new music. One of the major complaints about Wings of Liberty was a lack of features available on Battle.net, such as the lack of chat channels and clans. This has been rectified in Heart of the Swarm. They finally added the much-needed clan system to the game, as well as groups and a shared replay theater. Battle.net 2.0 is no longer a lonely place as it sometimes felt during the early stages of Wings of Liberty. A new leveling system and unlockable cosmetic skins for your units has also been added to the game. The ladder of StarCraft 2 is split into various leagues based on player skill. There are 7 leagues in total, starting with Bronze all the way up to Master, which is the top 2% of players, as well as Grandmaster, which is the top 200 in a given region. Starcraft 2 features an intelligent matching system, which places players in different leagues based on their skill level. This way you're always matched up against players that the system feels would be a good match for you. If you win a lot of games against higher ranked opponents, you'll ultimately be promoted. If you lose a bunch of games, the opposite will happen and the system will demote you. This means that if you're new to StarCraft, you won't be matched against veteran players very often. The system isn't without flaws though, as it can sometimes take a considerable amount of games before you're placed in a league that best suits your ability. StarCraft 2 has one of the largest esports followings on the planet. Since the initial 1998 release of StarCraft, the game has developed a cult following in South Korea. It's more or less the country's national sport. It's slowly spreading across the rest of the world, and there are plenty of tournaments held every year. The total combined cash prize pools of these tournaments numbers in the millions. If you're not interested in the competitive multiplayer though, the arcade feature offers thousands of potential hours of enjoyment, as there are limitless maps available, from RPGs, murder mysteries, Dota-style maps, and even card games. If you're creative enough, you can even design your own map. It's a great time to start playing StarCraft 2, as even veteran players are still learning Heart of the Swarm. New strategies are invented daily, and even with the limited selection of races and units, there are still infinite levels of complexity. Although there isn't much competition in the real-time strategy genre, StarCraft 2 is the best RTS on the market today. It should be part of any gamer's library. Be sure to like and subscribe for more analog reviews.